Passer le relais est toujours délicat, y compris dans le milieu du jeu vidéo. Transmettre les bonnes valeurs, s'assurer que les intentions de départ ne se perdent pas, faire en sorte que son successeur ne trébuche pas pour finalement aller s'écraser la tête la première dans un mur de fans? Non. Vraiment, confier les rênes d'une franchise solidement établie n'a rien d'évident. Et si certains développeurs parviennent à s'en sortir, comme 343 Industries avec Halo 4, combien d'autres studios ont explosé en vol pour condamner les joueurs à évoluer au milieu d'une pluie de débris? Way Forward avec Silent Hill Book of Memories, Double Helix avec Front Mission Evolved, les exemples ne manquent pas. On s'inquiétait donc un peu pour Gears of War Judgment, dont une grosse partie du développement fut confiée au studio polonais People Can Fly, responsable de Painkiller, mais aussi de Bulletstorm et du portage PC de Gears 1 sous la houlette de Epic Games. Pour nous parler de ce nouveau volet, qui comme God of War Ascension est une préquelle à la trilogie originale, nous avons rencontré Jim Brown lors d'un événement parisien organisé par Microsoft. Lead level designer sur Gears Judgment, Jim travaille depuis plus de 10 ans pour Epic. Il a ainsi officié sur tous les titres de la série Gears, mais aussi sur Unreal. Et il a accepté de revenir pour nous sur la jeunesse de ce 4e volet et l'apport du studio People Can Fly.
When we wanted to start this game, we really kind of tore it back to its basics, and we looked at it from fresh eyes. We had a lot of help from People Can Fly, our sister studio, who helped co-develop the game, and they brought definitely a fresh perspective that really helped us identify areas where we could make the game better and make a lot of improvements and changes, but mixed in with kind of the veteran Gears staff at Epic, so we got those two things in balance, and that really helped.
Les nouveautés, pour le coup, semblent ne pas manquer.
There's the new spawn system, there's a new setting, there's a new timeline, there's new weapons, there's all these new different things that you can do, new ways for us to tell stories even in the game. But at its heart, it still feels like Gears, it still looks like Gears, it still plays like Gears of War. And that was what was most important to us.
Nous allons maintenant nous intéresser aux raisons qui ont poussé Epic et People Can Fly à développer une préquelle à la trilogie Gears.
So when we went to go make the new Gears of War Judgment, we didn't want to just make another Gears of War. We had made 3 games in that series already, and really thought we'd told a good story that had come to a very good conclusion there. We'd told Dom and Marcus's story and their relationships with their family, and Cole had his moment in Gears of War 3 where he gets to go back to his hometown. And the one main character who we never really got to experience their story was Baird. And turns out that he's kind of a fan favorite. I think he's the guy who, as a player, he says what you're thinking, so people really tend to identify with him a lot more, which is great. And in all of the games and books and comic books that are in this big universe, we'd never really told his story. So Gears of War Judgment, you get to play as Baird before a military tribunal and kind of learn more about why Lieutenant Baird in Gears of War Judgment isn't a lieutenant later on down the line in the rest of the series. And when we went back to the fans and talked to them, we just kind of asked them, what do you want to see in the next game? What do you want to do? And the overwhelming feedback came back that they wanted to see what it would be like to experience Emergence Day. So where the Gears of War trilogy has always been about destroyed beauty, this game, Gears of War Judgment, is about that actual destruction. There's no past tense there. You're going to be there when the locusts start coming out and destroying buildings and lighting fires and doing all these things. You're going to be fighting alongside soldiers who are seeing these locusts for the very first time and seeing how they react and all the horrible things that happen there.
Afin de dynamiser la campagne coop, jouable jusqu'à 4, les développeurs ont mis au point le système S3, visant à briser la routine des apparitions scriptées des ennemis.
We wanted to make a game that was very highly replayable. And one of the things that we wanted to do in order to do that was this new system called S3, which is our smart spawn system. And essentially what it does is it changes the game every time you die and reload a checkpoint, every time you come back and finish after dinner, or every time you call up one of your buddies and want to play co-op together. You could have had one experience, he could have had a different experience, and then when you play together, you can actually have a third completely separate experience that neither of you had ever seen before. And one of the ways that it does that is by adjusting where enemies come from, how many of them, what enemies are spawning, or even what weapons they're carrying. So you never quite know what you're walking into in a situation because you can't predict where they're going to come from or who's going to be there.
On nous promet également une difficulté dynamique, le jeu s'ajustant à votre façon de jouer pour réagir en conséquence. Et cette volonté d'apporter plus de profondeur au gameplay trouve son pendant dans le traitement de l'histoire elle-même avec les missions déclassifiées.
Each act of the game is telling the perspective, the testimony of a different member of your squad mate to kind of tell what happens during this trial that they're all on. And what you can choose to do during the game is to declassify these missions to say kind of the real story of what happens, of explain how they bent the rules a little bit in areas that they weren't supposed to. And as the player, what you're essentially doing is choosing to add another layer of challenge onto the already existing game and giving you a little bit of control on making it different for yourself in addition to just the changes from S3. But every time you do that, the game is tracking everything that you do, so that when you get to the end of each chapter, it registers, did you accept that challenge? Did you complete that challenge? And then also, did you do anything cool or special along the way? Did you win any awards? Did you get a bunch of headshots, for example? And you just kind of the different things that you can do. And it rates you on a scale from 0 to 3 stars based on how well you did. And between the chapters, those stars start to accumulate, and then you can then use them to unlock new characters, multiplayer, new weapon skins, armor customization, or ultimately an entirely second campaign called the Aftermath campaign that's actually an epilogue to the Gears of War trilogy.
Un concept intéressant qui permet de jouer une première campagne située 14 années avant Gears 1 et une seconde située après Gears 3. Une façon comme une autre de boucler la boucle tout en permettant aux fans de croiser des lieux et des visages familiers. Mais bien entendu, il est impossible de parler d'un Gears sans aborder ses options multijoueurs. Là aussi, il semblerait que les développeurs aient tenté d'apporter un minimum d'innovation en se basant sur les retours de la communauté de fans.
At the end of Gears of War 3, we got a lot of feedback that people wanted to see what it would be like to play Horde versus Beast. And when we originally kind of mashed those two together, it was really fun to play as the Locust, but not quite so much when you went back to playing the humans, because they were just a bunch of guys with guns and there wasn't really anything special. And so we started doing that, and as we developed the game type, we really wanted to make each of those humans a little bit more special, a little bit more unique, and we came up with a really good class system. So that each person can pick a specific class to play the way they want to play and contribute in a very unique way to the overall team structure. But Gears, at its heart, has always been a cooperative game. So what we actually ended up doing was taking the co-op campaign from Gears of War 1, Horde from Gears 2, Beast from Gears 3, combining it with this new class-based system to a new mode called Survival, that lets you play with 5 people, co-op online, and you each have this individual class, and you're defending objectives against waves of enemies that are coming in, and each wave is a little bit longer, a little bit more difficult, introduces new enemies, so the challenge keeps building, and ultimately the goal is to survive.
Bon, en fait, le mode Survival est le nouveau mode Horde de Gears Judgment. Le mode mélangeant Horde et Beast est en fait le mode Overrun, qui oppose une équipe de Locust à une équipe de soldats humains. Ces deux modes intègrent donc un système de classes et on peut choisir d'incarner un soldat, un ingénieur, un scout ou un médecin. Chaque classe possède 2 armes et une habilité spéciale, comme le fait de pouvoir déployer une tourelle pour l'ingénieur ou de lancer une grenade de soin pour le médecin. Outre les modes Survival et Overrun, on aura aussi les classiques Team Deathmatch et Free for All, ainsi que le nouveau mode Domination. Pour en savoir plus, on ne peut que vous inviter à patienter 2 petites semaines pour voir la critique complète de Gears of War Judgment.